Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast. What are we on here? Season 2, episode 107.
Yeah.
We had a whirlwind start here.
It's never a dull moment on this podcast, right?
Not with Jeremy.
We should set up another camera.
For a behind the scenes.
He's drunk already. We should set up a camera for the behind the scenes. Maybe that's what we should do for the Patreon.
Yeah.
Set up a second camera for the behind the scenes before. Because, yeah, we just had a bit of a crazy start.
We had a crazy start, but we are
like beer
here.
in here.
It certainly does. We are here and we are excited. And one of the things I was thinking about, Daryl, is that maybe it's time for you and I to get ready to retire from disc golf.
Why is that? Why do you think?
You know, the fall Niska League just wrapped up.
Yeah.
And payouts came out for that league. And how did that go?
We're in the money.
We are in the money. You actually did fairly well, hey?
I mean, can you get any better than first?
I don't think so.
I won. Did I technically win? I guess I technically won. I got the most amount of money in the payouts.
Mm-hmm.
It was the fall league, the handicapped U-disc league that we did. Part of the reason why I got the biggest payout was because I was the only one that showed up every week. So by default, I think I took down that mantle or that position. But yeah, I won. I got $33.19.
Oh, and was it those sweet US dollars?
No, that was the even more valuable Canadian dollars.
Oh, good. Yeah.
The Monopoly money.
Well, and I took down one of the weeks, and that got me a good $22 in change. So if any of you are looking for us this Christmas time, you'll find us basking on a desert island with our 3 favorite discs each and that $55 odd of cash if we pool our money together.
Let's not forget that it cost us money to enter the league.
Oh,
so that's not pure profit, Jeremy. That's you've got to take that into consideration.
So net $12 or something.
Not
like
even.
That.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, who do we got in the chat tonight?
Oh, in the chat we got all the usuals. We got Sonia, we've got Doc, we've got Kevin King's in the chat, Dean is in the chat. Sam is obviously in here. Brendan's in here as well. Tobin's back in there. Good to have you all here. Hopefully you're going to have a great episode because we got a great guest coming up tonight.
Yeah, who do we got coming on tonight, Daryl?
Tonight, we'll be chatting with Chris Ozolins.
Yes.
Dare I say it?
Okay.
Canadian legend.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, let's see. We'll have a conversation with him, then we'll make our decision. Let's reserve our decision until then.
Right. But we're going to speak to him about, we had him on previously, but we're going to speak to him primarily this one. We're going to speak to him about can disc golf.
Yeah. Are we not just can disc golf? Can we do the other stuff too? Do you think Chris will let us humor us?
Yeah, we can talk to him a bit about it.
All right, we'll do the other stuff.
Karen's in the chat as well. Oh. Bonjour.
Hey, Karen Martel. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Oui, ça va bien, merci.
Yeah, there we go. We did it.
That's all I know in French.
And when we do need someone to translate Chain Out into French, Karen's our person. She's our for francophone. Sure. Yes. So Daryl, it has been a little while because it felt like recently, probably just over a week ago, maybe a little bit more, almost every single day, I'd be sitting, working away, doing my thing, and then all of a sudden I get a text, follow me on UDisc, and you would be sending me around, which I always love to do. I live vicariously through you that way. Right. But I'm feeling like I'm on the pay no mind list because I haven't seen one lately. Have you been forgetting to send them to me, or what's been going on?
Well, this might scare you a little bit, Jeremy. This might give you chills. This might grate you to the bone.
It might.
But I have not played disc golf in over a week. I think that means my streak has come to an end.
Seriously?
I think so.
Weren't you like double digits or something?
Oh, yeah. I was in double digits. I was up to 20 or 30, I think.
And you just let it go, just that. Just
let it go.
Oh, man. I don't know about that. I'm rocking about 140 weeks on UDisc in a row.
Now you're getting to the point where you've got to get out and play, because if you don't, you're dreading the fact that you might lose this streak.
It is true. And so last week I picked one of the warmer days and got out for 9 holes at Langholm to keep that streak alive. and it was not one of my best rounds. It was probably one of the least best rounds. But one of the things is it was after it snowed. Langholm has tee pads now.
Oh, yes.
And those tee pads need shoveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent half the time shoveling the 9 tee pads and the other half throwing discs.
Well,
so
you're doing the Lord's work, Jeremy.
I was doing good work. So I'm going to say that to all of our disc golfers who have been playing for quite a while. It's time. If you're up in Canada, throw a shovel in the back of your vehicle and make sure to shovel off 1, 2, or if you're a real hero, as many pads as you can. Mm-hmm. And I haven't gotten to the level of a few of the locals here, like Steve Newman and Maverick.
Right.
They'll go out there and they'll shovel. Not only will they shovel,
they'll sand, they'll salt, they'll do the works.
They'll do whatever it takes to get them clean.
Shout out to Sam. He says he's at 100 weeks.
Oh, sweet. Nice work. Triple digits.
Good for you, Sam.
Pretty
Almost
soon
2 years.
Pretty soon. Well, he's just right behind us for episodes.
Yeah.
So his streak started just after we started podcasting.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Yeah. I was trying to turn it into a negative, but it's not.
No.
It's a good thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Daryl, we've been trying to do this lately as part of our Tapa shows. We've been doing some tournament reviews. Mm-hmm. And guess what? We actually have the ability to do another tournament review.
Okay.
Usually it's getting a little slim right now.
Yeah.
But you want to take this one?
No, you can take this one.
Take this one?
You know more about this one than I do.
All right. So we're going to review the Chili Chains 2.
Oh, 2.
2. Number 2.
Second annual.
That's right. No, not second annual.
Oh.
The 2 represents something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So it takes place out in Kamloops, BC. And if you think about it, we just had Stephen Porcaro on the show last week, and he mentioned this amazing, awesome tournament director that directed this tournament, and that's Elizabeth DeVries.
Yeah.
So it was a 1-day, 2-round tournament, low cost. It was one of those Gigogur events.
Get in, get out, get rated.
Yeah, that's right. So it was one of those. And the reason it was number 2 is because they're doing 4 events in the Chili Chains series. They do 1 in November, 1 December, 1 January, 1 February.
Okay.
So great opportunity to earn a rating and kind of stay sharp, give you a reason to get out and play over the winter.
Yeah.
There was one frill to the event, though.
Ooh.
This Chili Chains 2 tournament.
Yeah.
They had chili for lunch.
There you go. Does what it says on the tin.
That's right. Well, we see what you did there, Elizabeth, and I approve. Do you approve? Chili at a Chili Chains event?
Yeah. Nothing, you can't beat chili on a cold day.
Yeah, forget about it. That's what I have to say about that. Well, another fun part, which I don't know if this is tongue-in-cheek or not, but we're going to talk about it, is that they also said when you enter this tournament, you get a collectible puzzle piece. So now, I don't know if that's a true puzzle piece or if this is the way, you know how you kind of, as a tournament director, you've got to get the value, the 100% value or whatever it is.
Right, yeah.
So maybe a collectible just increases the value.
Well, there you go.
So I'm expecting that Elizabeth gave everybody out like a piece of a Dora the Explorer puzzle or something, you know, swiper, not swipe, or what is it? Swiper, stop swiping? Something like that?
Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, no swipe. Why do you know that?
Yeah, because I have kids.
Back. Maybe that's where they put their puzzle piece.
No, we could go down a path we don't want to get out if we go down.
No.
Let's just be quiet. Okay. Other news, Jeremy. Friend of the show, Alistair Robertson. We had him on the podcast in one of our junior episodes. Mm-hmm. He was just featured in the Toronto City News as their athlete of the week.
Wow.
Get that. Yeah. Congrats, Alistair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great to see you and the juniors getting recognized by the media outside of our disc golf circle.
That's it. Well, you know what it is? I think when we chatted with him, we had him on, we did 2 juniors episodes this year. We did another West and another East.
We did.
So Alistair was on the East there. And I think I do remember having kind of my awkward moment there where I was telling him how wonderful I noticed his unique way of throwing.
Yeah. Only to point out something that he'd never noticed before.
He never noticed. So hopefully maybe that would, well, that's definitely one of the reasons his amazing play, his great style got him to be the athlete of the week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also another congratulations to one of our Eastern younger disc golfers out there. And that's a huge congrats to Rebecca Dawn, who won the DGPT Rookie of the Year award. So like impressive, hey?
Oh, amazing.
And she didn't even do a full tour this year.
Right.
She went during her school breaks.
Exactly. Highest place finish 4th on the DJPT.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And she was so close to also winning the
oh my goodness, sorry.
PDGA
Yeah.
One as well, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I just got, we always say one of our best episodes is when we did the whiff diff from Australia.
Yes.
And we say we've been in America, we've been in Canada, we've been in Australia.
Right.
Now, Howie Meeker's joining us from Tokyo.
Yes, that is amazing. I've been following. I don't know. Have you been following?
Oh yeah, him and Don.
Yeah, him and Don. So
yeah.
Howie Meeker and Don Annette, 2 amazing Canadian disc golfers, done so much for the sport.
Yeah,
they help out with Falcons Flight. We got to catch up with Howie at Nationals. They're out in Tokyo. They've been touring everywhere, and they did it. So
they're still out there.
Yeah, and when they finished up, I think they're just about wrapped up, and they stopped at Tokyo.
Yeah,
is where they are.
That's where they are right now. Yeah,
in Japan. So cool.
Good to have you here, Howie.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the other news that we saw this week, Daryl?
Yeah, over in BC, there was an article published last week in the Creston Valley Advance. You know, you like to do your deep dive, Jeremy.
That's right.
From Creston, BC.
It's one of my regular washroom reading materials.
Exactly. Bernie Van Hooft and the Creston Valley Disc Golf Association working to get 18-hole disc golf course in the ground in that area. They're the last community in the valley without a course.
Yeah, like I think when I'm
not too familiar with the Creston area. Yeah,
they've had some 9 holes and stuff like that, but they don't have an 18-hole. And there's like 7 communities in the area, and Cranbrook has 5 courses, and
we know
that
about
kind
those
of thing.
Courses, yeah. So they've got the Kokanee Brewery in that area.
Yes, very familiar with that.
Yes,
brew.
Yeah, exactly. We know that beer and disc golf has been known to match each other really well.
Yes.
Who doesn't love disc golf that also likes beer?
That's true.
Or maybe that's the other way around. Maybe the Sasquatch and the rest of the Kokanee crew could get on board and help them get that course in the ground.
I'd like to see that. When you look on the cans, if you remember, they would hide the Sasquatch on the cans.
I do remember.
And he was always carrying, I think it was a suitcase full of disc golf discs.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So it was always there. Yeah. They got to help build that course. Well, the Chain Out Podcast has 2 amazing sponsors that we want to quickly shout out, and that is BR Disc Golf. Brendan and the team over there will get you 10% off if you use the code CHAINOUT at checkout. Talking to Brendan, he's hyping up the mystery boxes because he does those custom ones that you let him know what you like, and he'll put a mystery box together for you. He's got awesome bags. He's got grip bags, upper park, all of that there. And and then also, we have another sponsor, and that's Cardinal Disc Golf, who's got us sponsored till the end of the year. Thanks for that. And you can get 10% off with them if you use the code CHAINSPACEOUT at checkout. Now, their first exclusive orders, because that's how they're operating the business now, have wrapped up, but they've got more excitement coming soon, is what Kevin told me. And next year's team members are starting to make their announcements, so it's been exciting to see who they're going to have on the team next year.
Yeah,
including someone we met at Nationals, a really cool pro player. By the name of Connor O'Reilly.
Yeah, a lot of time for that guy.
Yeah, a lot of time for him. He puts a lot of great disc golf content together, so check him out. Although he's not Canadian, he's been up to Canada, and a really great guy. So.
Yeah.
And then we got some exciting things happening today after the podcast too.
Potentially.
Huh? Yeah, we're going to try something.
We're going to try something for on our after the Chain Out Podcast. You can join us for our Patreon, our Around the Basket podcast. Tonight we're going to be doing an exclusive. We're going to see if it's going to work. Our friends over at the Flight Pass podcast, Clive and Carrie Neal. Clive Lovett.
Yes, that's right.
And Carrie Neal. They're going to be recording their Christmas episode, and they've invited us on to be their guests. So we're guessing it's probably not going to come out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But we figured we could join on our Patreon episode, kind of share in the Christmas spirit. Head over to our Patreon, sign up, get a free link, and you'll be able to watch as well.
Yeah. And speaking of the Flight Paths podcast, they have just started putting out new episodes. So they put out their 3rd episode, and they interviewed Brett Hanna out of Logan Lake.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and do it. It's great. Brett's got a lot of nice things to say, and a lot of good things to say about building disc golf courses and working with your city on doing that. So yeah, it was cool. But I think we might have a guest sitting in the green room, do we?
We do.
And how's it look there? The mint M&Ms because it's Christmas. To put some candy canes in there?
We got candy canes. The candy canes are all gone.
Eggnog.
Eggnog by the
rum.
Eggnog with rum in it by the bowlful.
Spiced rum though.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Captain Morgan's own.
So we better get him on before he indulges.
Let's get him on.
All right. So tonight
might turn out to be a good interview if we leave him in that way.
That's right. If you like the start of this podcast, the off hours part of it. Tonight we are joined by another legend of Canadian disc golf, a PDGA member since 2012 with 194 events under his belt and 71 wins, Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 36% win ratio. I'm still working on my first career win. Still working on that. So if you're wondering how good he is, well, at 1013 rated, there are only 2 Canadian MPOs above him, that being Marty Hendel and Tommy G. So not bad company to be holding there. As president of the Ontario Disc Sports Association, he has helped develop disc golf in Ontario in more ways than we could list in this intro. He recently took on the role of president for Can Disc Golf. We're excited to hear all about his new role and more. Join us in welcoming Chris Ozolins to the show.
Hey guys, holy smokes, what an intro too. Thank you.
That's amazing, right?
Well, that was the short version, Chris. Like I had to trim that down about 3-4 times.
Well, I appreciate you trimming it down because it's almost too much, to be honest. But I appreciate it, guys. Yeah.
Well,
love being here, and I'm excited to chat with you about everything Can Disc Golf tonight.
Yeah, no, it'll be fantastic. And don't worry, I put the rest of it in the outro. So we'll cover the rest a little later on.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, we want to say it's been a long time coming to getting you on the podcast again, because for those who may have seen, we did have you on the podcast a little bit earlier last year, actually, later last year, for the 2024 Ontario Provincials Fantasy Picks episode.
Don't remind anybody, because if you look at my picks for that, I don't think I did too well. So
you made us feel really good that episode, Chris, because we came into that one thinking, oh man, we're going against the Ontario guy.
Yeah.
How are we going to do? And I think we surprised you a little bit that we actually knew a few players, hey?
You know what? My friends let me down. I'll leave it at that.
That's it. That's one rule. I know everybody wants to. Everyone comes on and they feel bad and they always pick with their heart.
Mm-hmm. But it does happen.
It does happen.
Yep. Well, so more recently, Chris, we ran into you at Canadian Nationals, and that was good. And it seems like you've just been so busy since then. But even with all the busyness going on for you, it looks like you still managed to be a tournament director for a doubles tournament over the weekend. How did that go?
Oh, yeah. Well, fantastic. Other than the fact it snowed, and it normally doesn't snow this early in Ontario. But yeah, great. We had 200 people out at King's Forest, the seasonal course, just in our neck of the woods. And I think people love doubles. It's something we don't do enough in Ontario, especially. But yeah, everyone was happy by the end of the tournament and well fed and a little bit colder than they wanted to be. But we all had a great time.
Yeah,
that's awesome. You mentioned a little bit of snow there. Is it enough to get ribbons on the discs?
No way. First of all, I never put ribbons on the disc. Good. It affects the flight too much. But
I'm with you.
I would say we maybe had 5 centimeters, so not enough to justify ribbons. There's plenty of water to take your discs at King's Forest, the course we were hosting at. So, that did its job. So I think the ribbons would just, they were unnecessary.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I'm with you. I don't like to ribbon up.
No, not your jam.
Not my jam. No. I'm not a fan of winter golf either. So,
well, I got to get out. We were talking about that with the streaks. Got to get out every time.
Exactly.
So, Chris, the other thing too you just mentioned there, and some of our listeners from the Ontario side would know, but out here in the West, it's not as familiar of a thing. Is that King's Forest is one of the courses that you have that's a seasonal course, but kind of opposite of what we would normally think. Because normally, you're sharing a disc golf course with, say, a cross-country ski area, and the baskets come out in the winter. But in this case, with King's Forest, it's the opposite, where it's a ball golf course during the summer, and then you're allowed to put baskets in the winter. Is that how it works?
Yeah, we probably have at least a half dozen of these in the GTA. Pretty nice municipal golf courses most of the time, where the policy is accessibility, inclusivity for a municipality. So they're motivated to share that space, and disc golf's a perfect use of that space during the golf off season. Tougher to get private golf courses to buy into the concept, but courses like King's Forest, Dentonia, Scarlet Woods, Lindbrook, there's a whole slew of them in Ontario that I think disc golfers look to break up the monotony of playing your home course about, 4 times a week for 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always wondered when I see these pop-up courses on bowl golf courses, how are you putting the baskets? Are you just kind of temporary baskets in the ground and hoping they don't walk away, or how are you anchoring them down, or do you actually get a chance to maybe put a pole in the ground or something like that?
Yes, a lot of them are different. Kings Forest, City of Hamilton's been great. They've cooperated to the point that they allowed us to put irrigation boxes down. If you've seen like sprinkler boxes before, and they have a cover on them. So in the off season, we'll put the cover down. The sleeve is, subsurface slightly. And they just leave them there, and then we replace them in the winter. I put courses in before, though. There's a special auger bit you can get for drills. So especially if you're installing once the ground's frozen, you drill a slightly smaller hole than the pole. You get a sledgehammer and a piece of 4x4. You put it on top of the basket, and with the ground frozen, it's there all winter. And if that's all you need, it's a great solution, a quick solution to put a temporary course in.
Yeah. All right. Well, and I guess that's how you know when they have to come out, because the ground melts enough that they start leaning over and guess it's time to come out.
Oh, yeah. I've got some photos of courses where the baskets are all 45 degrees, and it's time.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Chris, I know you've watched a number of Chain Out podcast episodes, and we wanted to give you the full meal deal experience, and we wanted to find out how you got into disc golf, but we're not just going to ask you. We do have one of our origin stories. It's based on a movie. It may be loosely related to things that truly happened, but we'll tell the story. Our listeners will try to guess the movie, and we'll see how it really happened afterwards. So you just sit back and enjoy. So maybe in the early 2000s, Chris, you were obsessed with anything that could fly. A ball, a kite, even a balloon. Trying to satisfy your love of flight, you took a hot air balloon ride from Confederation Beach Park over Lake Ontario with Burlington as the destination. But on the way, the wind picked up and whisked you far away. You passed out, and when you awoke, you found yourself in a weird place called Ozolins. The locals had never seen a hot air balloon and presumed you were a magician, especially when they learned that your name was Oz. Soon enough, they had you set up in a luxury digs that you could never imagine, and people from miles would come around for your wisdom, and for some reason, it always revolved around Frisbees. How do we get this tournament going, Oz? How do we get a disc golf course? How do we run a provincial event? You found discs in flight to be your great and powerful passion. From that day on, you always seemed to lift people up, and when they left, it was like they were on a golden path with a little more heart, a little more brains, and a little more courage in their steps. So maybe that's not quite how you got into disc golf, but why don't you tell us how it really happened?
Sure. That was actually pretty accurate. So we'll just, no, you wouldn't find me in Oshawa. That was the only untrue part of that. Other than that, actual origin story, I'll make it pretty quick. I was one of those, received a disc golf 3-pack from Canadian Tire, tossed it under my bed one Christmas and said, great, awesome. Maybe one day, right? Just like, any other game you might receive equipment for and not use. And my girlfriend at the time, Rachel, who I've been with since then, suggested, I think this must have been years later, that we go try disc golf. And she remembered we had that under the bed, that thing that was just taking up space. And we went out to Brawny Creek Provincial Park. One of her friends played disc golf, and it was one of those things, find something new to do, especially when you live kind of in a city with not as many natural opportunities. It was great to go to a provincial park and try something new. And to say like 3 holes in, I was hooked was an understatement. I had played ultimate Frisbee in the past, so there was some kind of pre-knowledge or physical literacy when it came to throwing a disc, I think, which made it a lot easier to get addicted to right off the bat. But there were still things like putting that were insane still. The concept of throwing a Frisbee in a basket from 20 feet away seemed impossible. But I think combined with the bit of OCD I have where I strive to do something correctly or properly, I got hooked on the sport. And I remember going out the next day, and I had a friend who wanted to try it too. And I think that summer I must have gone out for 21 days in a row, trying to get better and better and better. And then I found that the disc golf club at Brawny Creek. And I remember the first time I went to that, I was nervous as all heck. And I will say this: the people weren't the most welcoming there at the time either. And I think a lot of this contributes to my take on accessibility and inclusivity when it comes to the sport moving forward. Is some of the things that I think I was a bit more resilient to that some others wouldn't be. The barriers of entry, we'll call it. But I did find someone who was really kind there. His name's BC Gary. I think he actually lives in BC now. At the time, his nickname made no sense whatsoever. And he looked at my 3 discs from Canadian Tire and said, you can't be serious. You can't play club with those. And so I remember instead he gave me a Discraft Predator for my first disc, which I wouldn't do to anyone out there except the fact I primarily threw forehand and it actually worked. And I think I credit him to some degree with getting me even more addicted, giving me something slightly overstable off the bat. I proceeded to then, pursue. There was all these people with knowledge there, and the better you get, the more I think they accepted you into the group. It was very much not as inclusive as I would promote a group to be nowadays, but I still, I persevered and I stuck to it, and I enjoyed my time with them, and I started playing tournaments. I met new people. This is how our sport then blossoms, and all the people I met were, oh my God. Maybe I'm lucky, but there are a lot of great people in our sport, and started sleeping on couches when visiting Peterborough or Ottawa or whatnot, and you were developing those friendships because you were doing something you love with people you love, and the rest is history. I've just been pursuing, sharing that with everyone else since then, and maybe the way I see the sport could grow better as a result of maybe some of the negative experiences I've had, and promoting the positive experiences. And now I'm just as addicted as before, which I think drives me to be a quote unquote high performance athlete in our sport. But I love the sport just as much as I did, day one still, which is why I believe so much in it.
That's awesome. Yeah. One thing we always like to find out when we get this origin story, and people always tell us about their first discs they got. Now, I'm probably guessing that you probably don't have those Canadian Tire discs, but do you still have the Predator?
Right here, my friend. It's sitting behind me. This was the first disc I ever threw. The turnover by Frisbee disc.
Wow. And it's PGGA approved and everything on there, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can see the PGA approved bit on the bottom.
Yeah.
Not a terrible disc, to be honest. I mean, someone got it right selling this to Canadian Tire because it hooked me on the sport, and it was easy enough to throw. But so I did go and purchase a Valkyrie promptly after getting the Predator, just so I'd had something reasonable to throw.
Do you still have the Predator?
I do. Yeah. It's on the shelf somewhere.
That's okay.
Here, let me turn this just to show you the full breadth of some of the stupid shelves I have in my office.
Look at that.
It's probably in a box. I'm like a hoarder when it comes to like things that have sentimental value too. So it's definitely here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm always just impressed when people have it, that they didn't just lose it in a lake, or did it, those first beginner discs that they get, and they maybe don't transition into the bag. They stay in the bag for a while, and then they come out, and then they realize, oh, there's a disc swap happening at this tournament. Well, you know what? That disc has served me well, and it's going to go to somebody else now. So that's where I always think that your beginner discs go. So I'm always impressed when people have that first original one that they hold on to.
Fair enough. It's definitely a product of the a bit of the compulsion I have for, like, I am not leaving a disc unfound. If it's possible to find it or dive into a pond for it, it's coming back to me.
Yeah. Okay. So that's maybe,
impressive.
Is this kind of telling me a little bit more about you? Because we know that you and Tobin Isaac are friends. And I just remember watching recently here his whole Facebook series, it felt like, of retrieving a disc that was not going to get left behind. So you guys share that same affliction, do you?
Oh, I reached out to Tobin and said, you can't post that on the golf course's public page. They're not going to let us golf here anymore. But yeah, absolutely. Tobin that was a She-Dizer disc too. And if you guys know She-Dizer discs, they are not cheap. So he saw that thing 40 feet off the shoreline. It's -5 out. He's going to shimmy across the surface and get it. I don't know if he told you, but the first day he actually fell in without hip waders on. He brought the hip waders back the next day and pursued his disc, but he eventually got it, which is great.
There you
Good
go.
for you, Tobin.
Well, also too, Chris, before we get moving on to the next part, we wanted to ask you, so when you were starting in 2012, like we know St. Thomas was one of the first courses in the Ontario area that really was kind of renowned and still renowned to this day. But what courses were kicking around? You said Bronte, you went out there. Is there any other ones that were kind of the big names of the moment when you first started?
I think Western Ontario definitely had it had a more developed community at the time. I didn't get to visit it because you don't go straight into high level competition. I do look back though, and I see, like Nate Sexton and Barry Schultz playing events in St. Thomas and go, man, if I was just a couple of years earlier, it would have been kind of a cool opportunity. Yeah. But in our neck of the woods, Centennial Park, this is a course that I think is one of, or Centennial Park and Toronto Island were the two oldest courses in Ontario. It still had its Mach 1 baskets. If you've ever seen a Mach 1, they are not impressive to say the least. But it was an awesome club community. So playing there was a big piece. Toronto Island, of course, has always been prestigious. It's still a highly rated course and has not been significantly redesigned since I've started playing.
Right.
At Bronte, Christie Lake had just gone in at the time too. I don't know if you've ever played Christie Lake in our neck of the woods.
I actually have. That's one of the few in your area that I've played and loved it. Such a good course.
Yeah, it's Glenn Forbes. I don't know if you've played White Spruce Park as well. He's designed a couple courses in Ontario. He used to have a disc golf business. He doesn't get enough credit because he's really good course designer. He's not really active anymore in the community, but he's got some really good courses in Ontario.
Cool. Yeah. Well, as we dive into your story, we get to find out a little bit more that you really dove into disc golf. As you're mentioning, you were playing, you started competing, and then you end up taking on two other roles. You took on the Ontario Provincial Coordinator role for the PDGA, and then you also are the president of the Ontario Disc Sports Association, ODSA. I've made the mistake of calling it ODSA and have been corrected. So as I try to shorten everything, but which one of those roles have you been doing longer, and how did you find your way into it?
Definitely the ODSA. So I started way back in the day, I can't even remember, 2015 maybe. I didn't start as president of the ODSA. I actually started as director of the ODSA, which was a low salaried position at the time. Just executing, I guess, the programming as dictated by the board. At the time, the ODSA was also the Ultimate Frisbee PSO under Ultimate Canada. So we didn't just do disc golf, we did flying disc in general. So Ultimate Guts, name a flying disc sport, and that was our responsibility. So we had some provincial level funding at the time. I'll tell you this right now, it was not a living wage, and it was not even remotely what I think a lot of people assume it might have been at the time. It was pretty much volunteering. But we did lose that provincial level funding at the time I think within 2 years of starting, because of Ultimate Canada separating their allegiance to Ultimate Ontario specifically, and then we were then focused on just disc golf. I came in as a predominantly disc golf player too. That was my role and what I wanted to focus on. And so I eventually succeeded the president and just became a full-on volunteer president of the board, I believe in 2017, 2018-ish. And then since then have been volunteering in that capacity. But I think it was when I became the president of the board, I think it's maybe 8 years now, became the PGA coordinator too. We were doing a lot of similar tasks, which is taking all the applications for events for the province. We had a loose tour at the time, and I said, why don't I just try to organize this more cohesively and present an Ontario schedule, because you're doing all this work anyways, kill two birds with one stone. And that's how that kind of came about. And I've been occupying the position ever since. And it's not a lot of extra work beyond what I'm already doing for the ODSA or ODSA. And so not a big deal. And I take pride in, Ontario having a nice schedule early in the year. If you look at our social media, we just posted the details of our 2026 Ontario tour, the 22 events there. There's way more events than that in Ontario moving forward. And hopefully by January 1st, we'll be able to post the full schedule at a glance. And I'm so proud of the TDs we have, though. Man, are there a lot of people.
You got a lot of great names out there.
Ontario.
Yeah. Well, and being out west here, when we look out to Ontario and see what you're doing and see what ODSA has going on, it's always impressive. Right down to, I've been banging the drum here for provincials for Alberta because it felt like we haven't had them since Daryl and I started playing disc golf, which is just the last few years, but they were in the past. And we really think, you see the Ontario provincials and how you qualify to get in them and all the excitement for that event. It's almost as much excitement as there is for nationals when you're in Ontario, right? The people are looking forward to it. And I'd love to see that in the other provinces as well, and in Alberta especially, because that's where we are.
Yeah, so it's so hard to travel as an amateur golfer, right? Like there's all these things we see on Jomez and these opportunities and these tours and there's, depth to them. And so really easy way to add it. Not easy, that understatement of the century. It's not easy to do this and get it all orchestrated and cohesive, but it is a mechanism that is free for the most part and something that's executable at any provincial level and maybe a national level eventually, that can add that depth to competition and add extra meaning for someone who's 720 rated, 830 rated, 1010 rated within their province and not have to, look up at, the highest of performance athletes and say, well, to be part of something bigger than myself, I need to, be this highly rated. It's accessibility. And so, yeah, I love it. It's something that a lot of people have bought into, and it's something that's attracted a lot of volunteers to the ODSA too, because they want to be part of the decision-making process and have their input. And so it's a great kind of olive branch to get folks communicating with us and involved.
Mm-hmm. And are you finding it too, Chris, now being, doing that dual role of ODSA president and provincial coordinator, and you're needing to set the dates for the tournaments every year, and the way that Ontario disc golf is so huge at this point and exploded, is it getting harder and harder to actually find dates for every one of the tournaments, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, we have so many golfers here. You can really host two pretty big events on the same date without it being too much interference. I think a lot of people want to distinguish themselves still. They don't want to overlap if they don't have to. But we have events like our Foxwood Open. That's an A tier in Ontario, hosted by Sean O'Reilly.
Yes.
And that's at Foxwood Golf and Country Club. And then we have our same weekend in Ontario, the Black Fly Fling, kind of a legacy event. It's been around, I think it's in its 27th year maybe now. And it's up in South River. And this is about a 3-hour difference between the events. And they both go to waitlist in seconds, not minutes, in Ontario. The exact same weekend, a 2-day event, A tier and a C tier. They don't really have to compete. Last weekend, Kings Forest Open, or not Kings Forest Open, the Golden Horseshoe Doubles Championship that we had. Up at White Spruce, not even 40 minutes away, they had an event that sold out, and we had an event that sold out both days. There's not a ton of it's not a limiting factor to have another tournament within kind of a certain proximity in Ontario right now. But a lot of people do like to distinguish themselves, and we try that with our Ontario tour to have them spread out throughout the season, so there's programming along a timeline, so that disc golfers don't say there's nothing to do in Ontario this weekend, or I have to make a choice between playing two of my favorite courses, but they both occur on the same weekend. That's really the only issue. But the distance requirements from PGA are not stringent in Ontario. Between 2 C tiers, there's no requirement really. And between A and a C, it's not significant either. It's such a big province that we don't run into a lot of issues, to be honest. However, I will say we did run into an issue sanctioning our provincial championships recently. They're taking place mid-September this year, and that's the Green Mountain Championships as well, which is just over the border in Vermont. So there was a bit of a hiccup in trying to get that sorted, but eventually we did accomplish it. So we're happy about that.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I know too, is with the number, when you say that, with the number of players that you have in Ontario, having more events is actually a good thing, especially if they're filling up, because it's making sure that people who want to play that weekend have a tournament to play. So maybe they don't get their first choice, but at least there's another option and they can compete if they're not looking, like if they are in a competitive mode and not just playing recreationally. So that's good.
It's like, I've heard though, the same, like, I think TDs know in Ontario, but those may be unacquainted. It's like biting off your nose to spite your face to say, oh, I don't want to be the same weekend as another event in Ontario. But you're going to have 50 people sitting on a wait list with nothing to do,
right,
who are slowly building resentment for you as a TD because you weren't willing to cooperate. It's the worst thing. I hate a wait list on my tournaments. You know, there's all these people who really want to go and do the thing that you're, you know, programming, and to not have them able to do that. So I think more competition, the better, always, for this sort of thing.
Gotcha. No, that's awesome. Well, I think we should get into what you like to call the meat and the potatoes. Hey, Daryl? Let's get on to Can Disc Golf. So you were recently elected to your newest role, which is another presidential role, and that's the president of Can Disc Golf. So congratulations on that new, what would you call it? It's not an award. What is it? New position.
Position.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And position is the best way to put it right now, I think. Good. It's all volunteer based. So, I'm going to point out too, in the same breath, we expanded our board in this latest election too, which I'm really excited about. So we do have a full board of 11 folks who are committed to helping too, which we've never seen in the history of Can Disc Golf, that much buy-in. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How's the first week been? A lot of handovers?
Well, really good. I just got off of our first board meeting, the introduction of the new board members. That was my meeting until 9 Eastern time today. We have some really motivated people on our board, and we are developing a lot of the content we need. One of the things that are our primary objectives this year, as part of our strategic plan, is to attain recognition and funding from Sport Canada. And so jumping through the hoops and developing the documents required to apply for SSP, which is the Sport Support Program in Canada, is a huge undertaking, because these are things that don't exist yet. And we're looking to expedite their creation and then kind of massage them when we have an opportunity to after the application deadline. But there are, the people who are joining our board, and kind of the momentum we have is impressing me. I've been part of this board for 6 years now, the Can Disc Golf board. But I think it's like sharks smelling blood in the water. There's we know now there's something, it's close. This Sport Canada recognition, and not that we're not a legitimate sport, but taking control of our sport in Canada and its development, and having some capacity to do so, and funding is, I think we're on the cusp of that right now. So I'm excited about that. And that's why this role, I think, right now is really exciting for me.
Yeah.
Right. Well, part of the reason why you're on the podcast is obviously we like to recognize people in the sport that do good things. Do you want to take the time to recognize the people that are on the board? Do you want to give some shout outs to the volunteers that stepped up?
And we don't mean to put you on the spot in case, because you said that's 11 names to remember. Oh, he's got them?
Yeah, okay. I better know who's on the board right now. Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with the executive. The vice president or vice chair, we'll give it that distinction, is Ryan Bevilacqua, who's an Ontarian.
In the chat.
Yeah, there you go. Also a member of the ODSA, and somebody who I think recently, within the last 2 years, joined the ODSA and has hit the ground running. I'm not going to share. I was going to share a personal story about Benny, but I'll say he is progress personified. So he's phenomenal at getting shit done, we'll say. We've got Corey Murdoch, who's also an Ontarian, who is the secretary of the Canadian Disc Golf Association right now. We have she is also the what's the name? It's like a mayor for a township.
Oh yes, it's on the not an ombudsman.
I'm looking it up.
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Well, a reeve. There we go. Got
it. Yeah, there you are.
She's the reeve of Jocelyn Township, so she's got some phenomenal experience when it comes to councils, boards, governance, best practices too. So she's been extremely helpful on that front. Also a good friend of mine from Ontario. And then we have Johnston Miller, who soon to be ex Newfoundlander. Who's headed to London. His wife just got a job here, and so he'll be an Ontarian as well soon. Despite our best efforts to diversify and have East Coast representation. Those are our executives right now. He's our treasurer. but somebody who I'd worked with earlier this year in the national team selection committee, just developing policy. We weren't selecting the team ourselves, but the field goal posts that selected the team. And he was, showed a lot of proactivity and was, adding input at every step of the way. So I suggested to him, is this something you're interested in? Yeah, absolutely. So we have Luc Richard from the greater Moncton area. He would say Dieppe. So from New Brunswick, he was phenomenal. If you want somebody, you want to see how to run a tournament right. This guy has, an earpiece in his ear, and all of his volunteers have walkie-talkies, and he's a dispatcher for, I believe, like the emergency services in New Brunswick. So he's super responsible. Awesome person to have on our group and for some of our committees. We have Andrea Michaud, who's organizer for the CWE in Canada, also part of the women's committee for the PDGA. We have Jessica Benoit from Manitoba, who is also, I believe, part of that CWE committee or women's contingency, but is definitely demonstrating that she has a lot of experience in governance and best practices too, which is something that's important to us if we're going to legitimize what we're doing. We have Craig Sheether as past president, now the international director of the PDGA. So he's sitting in our meetings, offering advice. He has a position that's going to help, I think, a lot with what we're doing now as well, and insight. Trying to think of who I've been through so far. We have Evan Zimmer from Saskatchewan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We have, and for lack of time, I'm going to keep going through people. Jordan Elway, who's the PDGA coordinator for Alberta.
Right.
Sits on our board as well. We have I gone through 11 yet, or am I getting close here?
You're getting close.
You're getting close. You got any
about 6 or
BC
7.
or any North representation?
We got Carrie Neal from BC.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I met Claire a while ago, but sat on the national championship selection committee with Carrie and saw just how awesome she is at doing everything she does. And I think that's going to be a role she's going to take over with the board. But she was there in our meeting tonight as well. And then let me make sure I've covered everyone, because I would hate for them to watch this and be like, oh.
Well, we got all the Western provinces. We got Ontario. Do you have any Quebec?
We unfortunately do not at this point have Quebec covered, which I would love. Yep, I think I've covered everyone there on the list so far. So
you know what? I think
that was 11.
Out of those people, as far as, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, but I think that was it Jennifer?
Jessica Benoit.
Jessica
Benoit
is the only person that we haven't had on the podcast, I think. I think
pretty sure. Yeah, most of them have been on at one point or another, and
we've
all amazing people. Like, you've got big influences in disc golf, and especially for their areas and their regions as well. So that's a great representation of Can Disc Golf. And I love that you went to try and get someone from the Rock, and they decided to come to Ontario anyways.
Yeah, I think he was a leader in that community too, as far as Johnston was helping run that club. We do have Karen Martel. She's part of our education committee too. So we have connections to Quebec at this point in time, but I would love to see, honestly, Quebec it's a country in and of itself. It's so massive.
Yes.
And I'd love to see participation too. And there's still open board spots that, we would love to fill with representatives from every province. We also have the structure of our organization is such that we have our board of directors, and then we have our PTSOs as well. So the provincial and territorial sport organizations, they'll also have a seat at the table. So they'll have a proxy or representative representing them. So every province will have a vote when it comes to decisions that we have to make as an organization. But we're in the process right now of recognizing and drawing up contracts with those groups so that when the trickle down does come from having the NSO status in Canada, recognized by Sport Canada, those organizations are going to have some access to funding and programming opportunities within their province or territory as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, and with that, so let's talk about the NSO there, because that's something that we've heard for the last couple of years. So being in the NSO is the National Sports Organization for a sport. So what would that mean to disc golf if we have a designation like that from Canada, like at that federal level? Okay,
so our sport exists whether we exist or not in Canada, obviously. Right now, we're at the mercy of, whoever feels like they're responsible for locally developing disc golf or programming or opportunities. We don't have access to, at this point, federal funding for what we're doing. We don't have, a salaried positions to develop programming that we can then carry out across the country. We don't have people, looking to develop programs and policies around, for instance, the Canadian sport policy, which is kind of our steering document right now, and create accessible, safe, inclusive environments within our sport. Locally, there are absolutely people doing what we're going to do at a federal level within their communities.
Right.
But there's also this I think, lack of communication. It's not that we're not communicating with one another. It's just that there's no avenue for us to share this information. A success in Richmond, BC, to make its way to, let's pick a place in Ontario, Oshawa, Ontario, for instance. It's just not going to happen. So looking at streamlining the way we do things and programming and opportunities and best practices across the country, and then having access to funding to do this, is why we need a NSO in Canada. We need to be recognized at a federal level, and then we have to be held accountable at a federal level to create programming that makes the sport accessible, that helps the sport grow in the correct way, that develops infrastructure for our sport, because that's part of the accessibility portion of this, and then focuses on that accessibility not just being to one or two demographics, but across the board, to new Canadians, to Indigenous folks, to women, and to those in marginalized communities too, and age-protected folks, which I don't think a lot of people, have the responsibility to focus on, nor is it their responsibility, but it will be ours. And so, taking that and the onus of what a healthy sport does and how it grows is our responsibility.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And so earlier when we were talking, you had said, you kind of said the blood was in the water there as we get closer to it, and kind of there, like how far away do you think we are from getting that NSO designation for Can Disc Golf?
So there's like a checklist, we'll say, that the Canadian government requires of an organization before they consider you a funded sport in Canada. And so there's things like a strategic plan. There's things like coaching programs, for instance, which doesn't fit our sport in its current iteration, but it is something we do need to look forward to. There are things like certified official programs. There's things like having, the base governance documents that an organization needs to have. I have a whole list for you here too, so I can go over it. A long-term development plan. There is a participation strategy plan. There's a performance strategy plan. This is grassroots versus competition. There's a high performance athlete plan that we need to have in place. Now, these are things that we have been working. Like, this is, documents that didn't exist, but we've adopted, say, Golf Canada. We'll go look at their high performance athlete development program, because there are a ton of parallels between ball golf and disc golf, as far as athlete development goes. And we'll look at those and we'll go, okay, how do we adapt this to what we're currently doing? And look at, the actual practical application of what they're saying to disc golf and say, okay, let's adjust this. So we've been working on these documents that we need to present the Canadian government to show them that we have an idea of how to spend money when given money for programming, and actually develop these athletes and develop grassroots programming that's meaningful and creates, a low barrier or no barrier entry to our sport. Our sport, by the way, is a phenomenal example of a low barrier of entry to a sport. It's for the most part, when municipally driven, a free sport to play. It's great for non-traditional athletes because it's not something that a lot of people have pre-existing physical literacy towards. So we all kind of start at the same level. There's a lot of people who can, teach the basics of disc golf. Now, then programming for this for schools, because that's where a lot of people learn to play sport, is an important piece of what Can Disc Golf is going to employ across Canada. But there are a lot of things and mechanisms and shared resources from WIFDIF, from PDGA, from people creating curriculums for things like Uplay or Edge Disc Golf, for instance, that now exist. These are things that support documents that it would take us years to develop ourselves, but we can borrow from now. And so, going through their checklist and seeing what we've developed or what we're currently developing, we're very close to at least getting new sport funding level recognition. this is something, again, I've been here for years and years and years. One of the main points was we didn't have autonomy over disc golf decisions with regards to our international sanctioning body, which would be WIFDIF. Ultimate Canada, or the international community sees flying disc as a sport.
Right.
They don't see disc golf as an independent sport within flying disc. And so traditionally, WIFDIF has recognized Ultimate Canada as the MSO, we call it, which is a multi-sport organization responsible for flying disc as a whole.
Okay.
Now, we have an agreement signed, sealed, delivered with Ultimate Canada, where that recognition and decision-making prowess or autonomy for disc golf is now passed down directly to Can Disc Golf. So we are now responsible for our own sport and have the connection to WIFDIF directly for all decision-making opportunities, all voting opportunities. And then that IOC recognition that WIFDIF now has for flying disc sports passes through to Can Disc Golf as well, which we lacked in the past. This is something that prior to leaving to be international director of the PDGA, Craig Sheether helped a lot with his relationship with Ultimate Canada as well. So this is something we'd actively been working on. We have a signed agreement. We paid a small honorarium for, to seal the deal, so to speak. But now we have that autonomy that we required for the Canadian government to say, okay, next step. Now we need these documents. And so that's something that we've been working on, that we now own. That IOC recognition, you guys saw the World Games in Chengdu.
Yeah.
Huge piece. Like having high performance athletes recognized on the international level is something that the Canadian government sees and goes, okay, legitimate, great. Prior to that, you couldn't really reference where disc golf itself was on an international stage as far as being recognized as high level competition. So this is momentum for our sport right now. And there's certain pieces to this that, we're hoping to be included eventually in the Canada Games. 2029 would be our goal for Moncton. But just having these pieces in place were things that had to happen that weren't there in the past. Coaching programs are a thing we're going to focus on too. We need an education piece to what we're applying for. But these are things that we can apply, get recognition, and then develop using funding that the Canadian government will offer us. Because I'll tell you what, developing a coaching program all on your own for a couple of volunteers is a massive undertaking. It requires professionals to do it, and we require funding to get these professionals to help with the process, or at least to be able to allot this time towards that development. So when I say smell blood in the water, this is it's been happening very slowly, but the check boxes have been filling themselves over time, and it's really exciting to be at the helm of Can Disc Golf when this opportunity is starting to present itself, I think, more clearly.
Yeah.
And
No, I was just going to say, it's one of those things where like you said, it's been happening for so long. To now say that you smell blood in the water sort of thing is, over the grand scheme of things, you're almost seems like you're at the end now, seeing how far you've come, but you still know there's still a way to go. But you're closer to the goal now than you were when 6 years ago.
And I say the goal. It's why I became part of Can Disc Golf in the first place, was driven by my participation with the ODSA. When we were removed from that recognition as the ultimate PSO for Ontario, we also lost our funding in Ontario. And so the only way you can get funding as a PSO in Ontario, at least, is to have a recognized NSO by Sport Canada. And because disc golf is not currently funded by Sport Canada, which is their precursor for recognition, we'll call it, we can't get funding in Ontario. We don't get our baseline funding. We used to receive like an annual funding, which is the minimum in Ontario now. I think it's like $39,000 a year for your, which is, for most organizations, it's pocket change. For a disc golf organization at the time, it's huge, right? But a legitimate sport is receiving millions in funding every year so that they can develop infrastructure nationally. They can offer grants to communities to develop new courses, because I think that's one of those things throttling disc golf. I know we think we have all these courses in Canada, but if you live in a community with a disc golf course, you don't know what disc golf is, or there's no reason to, because there's no outlet to play it. So it's really important that we have access to this level of financial support so that we can begin to develop at that level. Like, how many arenas are there in Canada, or ball golf courses, or these are also inaccessible sports that are far more accessible than our sport right now. So
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, there's soccer fields and there's outdoor rinks everywhere you look, and all of that as well.
Soccer fields are great, right? That's why it's one of the biggest sports in the world. You need a flat open space to play, and that's it. And so
that's it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Chris, I appreciate you. We both appreciate you telling us about that, because one of the things about Can Disc Golf in the past is there's been a website up and that type of thing. And we know that there's a lot of work that's been happening behind the scenes, but there hasn't always been a lot of additional information. There's been some information on the website. So it's been really nice for you to share that with us so far tonight. And that gives us a great idea where we're going with the NSO. One of the other things that Can Disc Golf is doing is working on deciding who will host nationals and take care of that process and own that. Can you tell us a little bit about, well, first of all, this is what we'll say. It was in September when we got to catch up with you. We were at nationals, we did the opening ceremonies, and you surprised us a bit because you told us not only one of the nationals announcements, but you gave us two. So for anybody who maybe didn't see that or wasn't there, do you want to let everyone know who's going to be hosting the 2026 and the 2027 nationals?
Absolutely. So our 2026 hosts, and you may have seen them post their disc golf scene page today so that you can follow along, are Grande Prairie. This is Dylan Bressy and Greg Curran out in Grande Prairie. And we had, I'll elaborate a little. We had 5 applicants for the 2026 hosting opportunity. 2 or 3 of them from Alberta, 1 of them from Ontario, and 1 of them from BC. Dylan, Greg, and the Grande Prairie group had applied previously for the 2023 hosting opportunity that eventually went to Thunder Bay, which I was the TD of, actually. So it felt appropriate to be able to call Dylan and announce that he had or award him the honor of hosting. But they had a phenomenal package, I'll tell you what, like that group. And then 2027 was awarded to the Greater Moncton metropolitan area, aka DIEP, and Luc Richard and his team, who had great proof of concept through their initial DIEP Open in 2025 that a few of us actually went down to and checked out to kind of do our due diligence. But Luc has a great track record and is a phenomenal organizer when it comes to fundraising and just the day-to-day, minute-to-minute operations of the event. So they'll be in DIEP. They got a brand new course built there too in Memrem Cook by the wonderful Ben Smith, and they might have access to a few new courses even before the event too in 2027. I'll elaborate too. We went to the 2-year cycle because our feedback from TDs, and I gave this feedback as well, was I'd love a little more time to fundraise ahead of time, because a lot of municipal or even provincial funding cycles are on an annual basis. And if you're looking for funding for something, the same year you're being awarded a championship, it's oftentimes tough, or they require a proof of concept year to kind of get your foot in the door with them. So this allowed them to, or will allow our second event in the cycle to secure that funding and have some more opportunity to prepare for the capacity they need and the funding. So luckily Dylan and Greg and the Grande Prairie crew had been hosting this event kind of in perpetuity. They had hosted, in 2023, instead of hosting, I believe, the nationals, I think they hosted the provincial championships for maybe the last Alberta provincial.
Maybe the last one. Yeah, could have been.
Yeah.
So,
but so they were prepared, and they have those relationships. I mean, Dylan is a councilman, I think, in Grande Prairie, and then Greg's got a lot of experience hosting as well too. So, but yeah, Luke and whoever comes next, we'll announce the 2028 hosts next year as well.
Okay.
They'll have a little bit more preparation time too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I don't think there's a week that goes by that Jeremy doesn't mention something about the nationals in Grande Prairie, and we should be getting sorted to go out there. So I know we're excited to get up there to Grande Prairie to be part of that. And also, Jeremy's already looking, we said we've had Luke on the podcast before. Jeremy's already looking at maybe going out to the Greater Moncton, also known as DIEP area, in 2027 as well. So we couldn't be more excited to get out to the nationals. And it's always great knowing where they are, even from like our point of view. It gives us time to plan to be able to see what we can do to get out to those places that we don't normally get a chance to go to, right? We were lucky enough to go to Ontario this year, but getting out to go out to new Dieppe next year or 2027. It's going to be amazing. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what actually kind of the process of what it takes to become the host of nationals? Like, what is there the prerequisites, or is it on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, so I mean, we have an expression of interest portal where we take all applicants. We'll ask you a few questions off the bat, and about your hosting experience, the capacity, pre-existing relationships with funders and with the municipality that you're hosting in. We'll ask about the experience of your organizing team. Just stuff that at first glance will help us kind of decide, whittle down who might be a potential fit for what we're doing. I'll preface all this, by the way. I've been part of this long enough where we used to ask people to host nationals because we wouldn't get bids in. We didn't have a structure or a system that was, I think, appropriate or helped solicit these things. But I think the momentum of having a few national championships hosted by really good hosts helped build that momentum. And now we have, like I said, 5 or more bids every year. And so there's some competition there, which is fantastic. But we got quite a few like legitimate bids. I don't think anyone on that 5 location list was not considered. Then what we do is we have a committee. There's about 7 of us on that committee right now that would discuss, the strengths and weaknesses, the potential pros and cons of each application, and we'd whittle it down to initially 3 finalists. Then we would do the legwork and due diligence. I think I don't know a lot personally about Alberta. We did have some folks on the committee that were from Alberta, but unfortunately part of one of the applications, so they had to recuse themselves from being part of that discussion, which would have been helpful. So instead, I hopped on the phone and I started calling folks that I knew out there. Noah Higgins got a call. A few people that I didn't know, but Luke had some recommendations for some friends he had in Alberta, and so I think I called about 24 people and got their opinion on. I'll tell you, Drayton Valley was also a finalist for the championships. It had a phenomenal bid package, and I would not be surprised if they were in the next few years a host of the national championships as well. But just calling and getting feedback on the courses and some of the experiences people have had in these communities, and and weighing that against the pre-existing funding relationships they had, and what was accessible to, I was on Google Flights looking at, for an Ontarian or from Quebec or the East Coast or the West Coast, what's it going to cost to go to these locations? So we did our due diligence on that front, and then, spoke with those finalists too, and took a vote, and we had a unanimous vote for the hosts of 2026. And so Dylan and Greg were awarded the championships in Grande Prairie, and I'm excited. There's some footage of the courses there, and I mean, the wind looks like it's going about 90 kilometers an hour for the entire duration of the footage. But just seeing some of the photos, like really impressive looking courses out there, and really long daylight hours too, which is really is critical for hosting and doing. Their package consists of not just disc golf, but outside of disc golf activities, social opportunities and whatnot. And I love to see that when I see someone curating experience rather than just a playing experience, but a holistic experience for people coming in from across the country. And it's going to be worth our money, I think. And I'm excited.
Yeah. No, we're quite excited about that. And the one thing neither of us had a chance, because we weren't quite playing disc golf yet, to go to any of Duncan and Ben's nationals that they did, that kind of probably really started helping get that ball rolling of that momentum. But then I did get a chance to go see what Dennis Griffard did out in Clearwater, and just loved the atmosphere and what was happening there, and thought that was a great experience for my first nationals. And then going to Ontario and seeing what Daryl Bankus and Gabe Robinson and the crew did out there, and they leveled it up again. It's almost at this point here, it's going to be tough, because you're like, are you sure you want to try and compete? Because it feels like every year it's just getting better and better the way it's going. But we know that the Grande Prairie guys are going to be able to take that part on.
No, I was just going to say, I think at this point, you got to look at if you're going to bid nationals, you got to have it as your own standalone event. There's no point trying to keep leveling up from the previous year.
Yeah, doing your own thing.
Yeah, exactly. Make it your own.
But also too, Chris was looking at it as well this year, as we know that there's a lot of people in the education community who are very excited out here and hopefully out east as well to see that the nationals will be held in July instead of in September, because I know that's held some of them back. They're going back to school. I know you're a teacher as well, right? So once you get back to school and that kind of thing, then you can't, you just can't get that time off. So it'll be nice to be in July for a lot of them.
Oh yeah, that's like overwhelming feedback from teachers. I don't teach anymore personally. I am a consultant at heart now, but yeah, a lot of teachers appreciate it. Especially, I mean, students, people with kids who want to come travel and compete too. Like July, fantastic month. The bugs might be horrible, but that's if that's the worst thing we have to worry about. But but great weather is kind of in the cards for us. It's a trade-off I'm willing to make. And we'd like to see that more often from folks. It's not sticking to the end of the year. Even provincially in Ontario, we're like, why are we hosting our provincials in October every year and asking for rain and cold weather instead of going, let's get into the pocket. That's that sweet disc golf opportunity in the middle of the summer. So I'm excited. I'll be there too. And I'll be in Moncton. And I mean, yeah, you said something about momentum too, or of all these events, trying to create your own event. I think it's really nice though that there are so many successful Canadian nationals in a row. I think it's created a foundation. A lot of TDs of nationals are looking at the past one and go, okay, that worked, we're doing that. That didn't work, we're not doing that in the best way possible. But it's really up the level or what the expectation is. But it's kind of like a cheat code too. You get that experience that other person did. They tried something new and you saw it. Now you get the benefit of, okay, I'll do it this way, or this is an easier way to accomplish what they did. So seeing the momentum of nationals has been great.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of touched on it earlier about why you announced 2 years in advance so that people have that time to get prepared and get everything in place. If people wanted to apply for the 2028 nationals, when would be the deadline and how would they go about doing that?
So I can't tell you yet because the committee is going to be talking about that and discussing when that application, we call it expression of interest portal, is going to open on our website. Right. But we do tend to leave it open for a couple months. It's not going to be something that's last minute. We do traditionally announce the following nationals next year's nationals at nationals. It's not going to be that year, I assume, or it's not going to be that way next year. We'll probably announce it in September. So usually what we'll do is the application portal will close September 1st or the last day of August. So I imagine it'll be open for probably the 2 or 3 months prior to that, allowing people, and we'll advertise the living heck out of it, especially with our increased capacity now. We'll have, communications lead responsible for that. And we are, luckily, because the PDGA is sharing this information now, provincial coordinators are receiving emails and contact information for all their TDs. So we'll have a distribution list where we can share that information with all the TDs across Canada now. And so they're all privy to it or aware that there is an opportunity and can apply. Because in the past, we've heavily relied on either word of mouth or social media. And maybe I'm weird. I know a lot of our disc golf community is on Facebook nowadays, but it's not always going to be an open avenue for us. Right. Facebook might eventually, cease to exist. So having that direct contact to tournament directors and organizers in our sport is really handy. And so I hope there's plenty of applications. I think a lot of those folks that didn't receive the honor of hosting nationals from the 2027 bids will probably rebid for 2028 as well. So I hope the more competition there is, the better the result's going to be at the end of the day too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And just so you know, we do know a few great Canadian disc golf podcasts in the area. One out in Ontario, one in BC, one right here that can help you get the word out as well.
We will absolutely reach out. There's no way. This is awesome, by the way, today. Thank you for having me just to share some of the Can disc golf stuff. We haven't always been a capacity heavy organization. So, the luxury of focusing on, branding oriented social media campaigns just to, build awareness of your organization isn't something that we have prioritized in the past. So being able to share some of the information behind our organization and what we're doing here is an awesome opportunity. And then we can share this video after too, if folks want more information. But that's something that we're hoping to, develop into being able to open the avenue up, that communication avenue with our membership as we continue to develop and have more people invested in doing this and, share more. But right now, awesome opportunity. Thanks, guys, for that.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
And we do have one more Can Disc Golf related topic we want to touch base on with you. Ooh, 2028 Elkford, BC. Look at Kevin
I've
King.
I've never heard of Elkford in my life. So,
well, Kevin King and NADGT, they know what they're doing over there. So.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin's a beauty. He's on the national team selection committee and policymaking group with us. And yeah, awesome guy. So let's see.
Cool. Well, the one other part we want to talk about is that Can Disc Golf also helps in choosing Team Canada. So who's going to go to the WIFDIF or the World Games or whatever's happening that way. And last year in November 2024, we had the Australian WIFDIF Games, and it's held every 2 years. So this year we're going to have it, 2026 is going to be September in Lithuania. And so with that, can you tell us a little bit about who's going to be on the team for that event?
Sure. Do you mind if I preface that there's a new kind of category that's opened up for the World Team Disc Golf Championships moving into Lithuania? This is a bit of a surprise to us, but thank goodness we have Craig Sheether, who kind of gave us a early warning, so to speak, that they would be adding a Masters category to this. We had traditionally always had MP40 players on the open squad, but in a move to promote inclusivity, accessibility to the sport, they've now added MP50 and FP40 in a Masters category. So you have your MP40s, FP40s, and MP50s who will be competing in the Masters side of the event. And then we have our MPO and FPO that'll be competing in the open side of the event. They are separate, but aligned right now in that they'll be at the same courses. They'll be part of the same kind of entity and hosting. But right now for 2026, only the open side will contribute to your global ranking points, which I think will change into the future. These are important at a high, we call it high performance level when it comes to Canada's recognition of what we're doing too, because they want to see that you're ranked on a global scale. And so these all contribute to, again, that whole movement we have towards Sport Canada recognition. But that being said, I'm going to get out of the way and actually announce that our team right now has, we've reached out to all of our starters and let them know that they're part of the team. So I'll tell you on my list here that our MPO team is Thomas Gilbert, myself, Noah Higgins, and Max Regitnig from BC. We have also extended traveling with the team as backups right now are Justin De Silva and then Chris Brown from Ontario as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. This is all based too. We have a policy. It's very much based on playing a minimum number of events in a calendar year and then your PDGA rating as a result. The PDGA set up a phenomenal filtering system for us to judge someone's skill level and performance and execution. So we use that. That's available on our website if folks want to check it out too, to see how these things were decided. And it's completely transparent, which is a goal we had this year. The FPO side right now, we have Sophia, who is about to confirm that she's coming, has full intent to come, who we've been talking to, though, and I know she really wants to represent Canada. And then we have Colleen McInnes in the other starter spot. And then I just talked to this lady a week and a half ago, but Joe Henderson will be coming as our our playing backup this year too. So she'll be traveling with the team. And then in MP40, we have Stuart McKissick. We have Miguel Alvarado.
Yes.
We have I put myself in brackets because there's actual multi-division eligibility right now. And since I got really old really fast, I can play in both MPO and MP40. And then we have one more individual who I still have to call and confirm with, so I'm not going to share who it is yet, unfortunately, but there's another MP40 representative. In FP40, we have Christy Lee.
Christy Lee, yes. Awesome.
Nice. Christy Lee. And then I think about an hour and a half ago, called Julie Bisson in Quebec.
Yes.
I got her answering machine at first, which was completely in French, understandably, and left her a message in English because, I'm only, je parle français un petit peu, and that's it. So I was hoping she spoke English, and she did. She called me back and was ecstatic when I shared information that she actually made it as a starter in FP40 for the team. And so she'll be representing Canada as well.
Great.
Really excited about that. And then in MP50, we've got a staple in the game in Canada. Dave Ross will be representing Canada as our MP50 representative. So really excited. I think the majority of those folks were thrilled to get the call and being told that they would have the opportunity to represent Canada and Lithuania in Vilnius, Lithuania in 2026. We're going to be there from September 8th through the 12th competing, and I think probably a week prior to that. Kind of a neat opportunity. It's the first opportunity I've had to go represent my country. I was going to play in the Pan Am Games, but had a work incident, unfortunately, a year and a half ago. But now I'm really excited to go. And I think represent our country with these folks and hopefully pull some gold medals.
That sounds like a great team. And the thing is you announce all of those players. Mm-hmm. And the best thing about Canadian disc golf right now is that you could have probably announced twice as many players, because it's getting so deep in Canada right now of how many great players we have. And it's got to be a happy problem, because there's some other countries out there where they're finding some person who plays Ultimate and saying, do you think you could throw one of these discs for us at this tournament? But here we are having this wealth of people that we can choose from. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And this is anecdotal, obviously, but speaking with Craig and getting his feedback on these things, he said, we have a really dangerous Masters division in Canada. As far as we have some of the highest ranked players. We'll have some of the highest ranked players in the Masters division in the entire tournament. And I believe right now we're definitely north of 30. It might even be all the way up to 33, 34 countries that are going to be represented for the Masters side of things. And I think even more in the open side, because it's in Europe, because all these smaller European countries have access to it. But, still being kind of an odds-on favorite, maybe in combination with the U.S. as far as the Masters goes, is really nice to see. And then having a shot at it through pro. I know that the Casey Hannemeyers aren't coming. New father. Yeah. Great excuse not to come and travel to Lithuania frivolously right now. But there's a few top-rated athletes who won't be there representing, but for the most part, we got buy-in from everybody. And you're right. I could name another 15 people that would probably be household names for the most committed of us that could represent the country in every category. Karen Martell, who commented, not being one of them, she is 1 year off. I'm not going to share her age, but 1 year off being eligible to represent our country in the Masters Division 2. And I guarantee you is going to be a staple when she's old enough to do so.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's one thing that surprised me. I mean, not to call him out or anything, but I was surprised to hear Miguel Alvarado's name mentioned in the MP40 division.
Oh, yeah. That guy looks so young.
He looks so young. That surprised me that he was eligible for that division. So
you better check his ID.
I wouldn't believe it either. Well, I still have to, but he had applied and checked off that box initially, and I said, really?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah. He's like, I could play in that one if you want me to. Well, there you go. And Chris, now this one here, I'm making a bit of a stretch because I do a lot of research here, and Daryl's waiting to see if I hang myself out there or not.
I waved off this question.
He didn't want to be part of this question. But I was looking, and so I saw that Lithuania is right next to Latvia, and I'm thinking you've got some connections there. Is this a opportunity? Do you have family or anybody that you get a chance to visit back there?
I have never been to Europe in my life.
Okay.
But my grandparents were both directly from Latvia and came over during the war. So they definitely have family there, and it is my intent to go to Riga and visit. So, good question.
Yeah, why thank you.
I will tell you this, too. Finland is just above it, though, and has, the most insane disc golf courses, so I'll be there, too. You better be certain of that I'll be visiting Finland and Latvia while I'm traveling out to Lithuania to compete there.
Yeah, so essentially... Yeah, essentially all September we can just write you off. You won't be in the country. Hey, you'll just because Estonia's right up there too. And
October, I'll go visit my friends Silver and Kristen in Estonia. I'm sure.
Just before we go any further, I just want to confirm and I just want to clarify. Karen is in the chat and she just wants to let you know, Chris, that she's 21.
Yeah, I said.
You didn't want to say her age.
No, I said eventually. Yeah, eventually she'll be Masters eligible. But,
exactly.
1 year. I think you said 1 year she will be. I don't think you said in 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
You said 1 year she will be.
Yeah. I'd say this for her age, she does not look her age. Karen works her butt off not to look her age too. So fantastic.
Oh, and there's Joe as well in the comments too. That's fantastic. Well, so Chris, as we wrap up Can Disc Golf, let us know. So for all of us out there, now that we know a ton more, which we all appreciate, if we want to support Can Disc Golf, and is there anything that we can do as players, as like how do we make sure that we're doing our part to support Can Disc Golf and our efforts towards getting to the National Sports Organization?
That's a great question, actually. First of all, follow Can Disc Golf so that we have access to more Canadians through our social media channels right now. It would be a great opportunity for you guys to participate. Comment on the things we're posting. If you want to be involved, we're currently in the governance of our committees process, but our committees are open to all Canadian disc golfers. You don't have to be a board member to sit on a committee to contribute to the committee discussion, to resolutions that we're going to present to the board and push forward. So we will make a concerted effort to share opportunities with our public this year, moving forward as well. And, sign up to sit on a committee if you're interested in national team selection policy, or if you're interested in, how the national championships is selected, or our coaching and education committee, or our safety policy committee, whatever it is. We will be putting those out there, and you can access them because we will post those opportunities and those meeting coordinates for you. But participate, comment on something if you want to be part of it, or if you want to see something else. We had our AGM recently. I think this was 2 weeks ago now. We had folks in the meeting commenting about, a national tour or a point series or things like that. And those are great. These are things that we can't focus on ourselves right now, but having folks interested in them and developing these ideas into concepts and these concepts into programming is at the heart of what we do. So try to participate, reach out. We are not going to say no to anybody right now, for sure. We love having Canadians and their opinions and their ideas as part of what we do.
That's awesome. That's a great way to kind of wrap up that part of the conversation for us, Chris. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of where I get to in the show where I got to give Daryl a little bit more of that deep dive research that I do in preparation for all of these interviews. And so, Daryl, I don't know if you know, but Hamilton is a city that is hard as nails. It's probably why some people call it the Hammer. Others call it Steel Town. Mm-hmm. But what people don't realize is that Hamilton is also considered by some to be the waterfall capital of the world.
Did not know that.
Yeah. There's a set of falls called Webster Falls. It's one of the good ones. And I don't know if you could imagine this, but imagine you're out disc golfing in the Hamilton area.
Okay.
Super, super hot. It's that muggy kind of weather. You head out to Webster Falls afterwards. Mm-hmm. You walk under them. You cool off so quickly. It'd be just so serene, that water pouring around. You're completely surrounded by water.
Lovely.
Speaking of being completely surrounded by water.
You've taken a relaxing cruise, however the ship goes down. You manage to swim to an island. And fortunately for you, there's an 18-hole disc golf course. Which 3 discs are you taking with you on the island?
It never surprised me, Jeremy, I'm lost for words. I don't know how you get there sometimes. It's the part in the podcast, Chris, where we like to find your desert island discs. You're on this cruise, you think, you manage to have these 3 discs with you, you swim to an island, and there just happens to be the course there. Which 3 discs are you having with you in the bag?
Oh, boy. I should know the answer to this right off the bat. I'm just glad you didn't say Balls Falls when you referenced the waterfalls, because that's another one locally. I would say this is pretty standard. You need a putter and something you can throw. So the Praxis, the Thought Saves Praxis, is definitely part of that.
Which plastic?
Oh, soft Aura, because you can throw it. It's somewhat overstable, and you can still putt with it because it's got some malleability to it. Then I would say as a mid-range, I would utilize that opportunity to get the overstable disc out of the way. Usually I'd say Pathfinder. It's just not overstable enough. So I'd say an MD5 from Discmania. That's the overstable mid. It's workable for a lot of opportunities, and you need something overstable to fight the wind. Okay. And then for your driver, I've started using the Requiem, but I can't give it my thumbs up yet. That's a new thought-based driver. I would say the Emperor by Infinite Discs. It is just the old Avery Jenkins Destroyer mold, effectively, but they all have a great kind of poppy top to them, and they glide well, and they've got that perfect kind of mix of stability for distance drive. So the Emperor, the MD5, and the soft Aura Praxis would be my three.
I do like how everybody always picks putter, mid-range, and driver, but I'm thinking people normally say, well, if I'm going to spend a lot of time on this island, I would think you'd take the Requiem because that would give you the perfect amount of time to get used to the disc. But you're taking the Emperor. I just got an Emperor as part of my Trash Panda disc swap. I got it from Kevin King, who's in the chat. So yeah, I'll be waiting for the summer to get back, or the spring anyway, to get back out and start throwing that one again. Now the bit that we add on to this, when you get to the island, if you could transport any disc golf course to be on the island, so that would be the only course that you could play with those 3 discs, which course would you take there?
Oh boy.
And it can be a bucket list course that you haven't played, or it can be a course that you know and love.
I would put I'd probably bring with me Dragon Hills from Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some meaning. It's kind of like sappy, but it was a course that was designed by a friend of mine. I came and participated in the design, but he's no longer with us, unfortunately. It was part of our nationals programming when we had it out there. It's violently challenging. It was, I think, almost 10,000 feet. But just from just the memory of that course and the challenge and the fun I always had and what I connected to personally, that's absolutely the course that I would somehow bring with me to the island.
That's great.
There you go. Course with meaning. I like it.
Well, and we watched that Park Pro coverage of nationals that year, and it looked like a beast, but it looked like there was a lot of fun had on the course as well. So, no, that's great.
Awesome.
Well, and as we get to the end here, Chris, before we let you go, we want to give you a moment to shout out your sponsor or any other sponsor you got going on. Or is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention? This would be the time to throw that out there.
Oh, boy. I'll shout out Thought Space Athletics, who is currently my sponsor. Aaron Wilmot and the crew down in Maine, a.k.a. American Canada, do an awesome job supporting. They've actually already helped me with a run of discs to fundraise for my trip to Lithuania, and so I unfortunately sold those already. I'm looking for a second run of them, but nice. They're awesome as far as supporting me on my endeavors. And then I mean, just everyone, all the TDs. We just announced the tour in Ontario, and we couldn't facilitate everyone, but all the TDs in Ontario and across Canada for doing what they do to support the competitive programming we have, which is kind of the context of the sport that most of us experience. Just want to thank them for doing what they do and all those hours committed to doing that. And so that would be my shout out is all the volunteers in our sport.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I did get a chance too, Chris, to see your stamp that you had with the Raven on it that was on those Thought Space discs. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that I missed out because that was one of my questions. If you still had some available, do you know, let us know when you do get some back out there. We'll shout it out. We'll get people who want to support you can pick up a new one. Do you got any idea of what molds you're going to do for? Are we going to see some Pathies or what are we going to see? Maybe a mantra?
I should have answered this differently so that my island discs were these discs and then it could be a marketing ploy. We did have them in soft Aura Praxis. We had soft glow Pathfinders, which are awesome, especially for the winter. We have Mana and then hopefully some those Vex Breaker vessels for everyone too.
Okay.
Those are what we're getting in next, and I'll post on social media, and I'd love it if you guys shared it. That'd be phenomenal when they do come in. Just it's not a cheap trip. The flight to Lithuania alone, I think, is over $1,000. So
okay, yeah, a little more than that trip from Ontario to Grande Prairie for nationals, which is much more affordable than that one. So
I've seen some trips under $500 right now return. So I'm excited to book those ASAP so I don't fall victim to price hikes.
Have you started looking for Airbnbs? We know people that have already got them booked up already, so they're going to be getting booked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
people are booking They're booking early. They've actually got them full, 5, 6, 7 people in them already. So
yeah.
Well, if anyone has open rooms in their Airbnbs, reach out to me on Facebook right now. I'd love to stay, but I'm hoping to bring my wife with me too, and she's a fellow Ontario provincial champion. She'll be competing.
Yes,
nice.
at the Canadian National
Championship.
Well,
you might as well give her a good shout out too. You can't just say she's a champion for the people who don't know.
Okay, well, Rachel Dubow, FA 40 champion in Ontario this year. I don't think she's even in the other room right now, but beware other FA 40s in Grande Prairie. You're going to have a tough time taking her down.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. It was great having you on tonight, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremy. Awesome. Thank you, Daryl. This is awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
There you go, Daryl. I now know a lot more about Can Disc Golf than I think I did. Well, definitely before we started this, but we probably wanted to know more. We wanted to understand what they did, and I hope all our listeners feel just as informed as I do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the things that when we've spoken to people about Can Disc Golf is like people have said, like, we've heard of them, but what do they do?
Yeah.
Like they've never been visible. They've never been out there. You know, they have a website. I know we looked at it, I think probably a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the website hadn't been updated for a while. There was a lot of information on there that was, had been put up, but hadn't been taken down because the position had been closed or whatever. Just one of those things. But yeah, looking at it now, getting to talk to Chris, getting to see what what the future has and how much, a lot of, 99% of what he was saying, we never knew. No. And we don't know what goes on in the background. We know a little bit about what Can Disc Golf does, but all the procedures that they're going through to make the sport better and to make it, get it to that higher level, just amazing.
Yeah. And like you said, I think what was happening before was you had a smaller crew of them working on it, and they were doing all that groundwork, all that behind the scenes. Yeah. And it sounds like now with this, resurge in the interest in all of these new board members, and they're going to have a communications person. I think it's it's just, we're going to see so much more coming from Can Disc Golf. It'll be great.
It's so good to see that and hear it when you think about a lot of the statistics that you hear of people saying the COVID bubble has burst sort of thing, and we're now getting back to pre-COVID levels. Mm-hmm. To actually hear about boosting the sport again and getting it recognized, and it's on an upward trend again.
Yeah. That's awesome. And one other thing about Chris that we didn't announce, this was part of the outro part that we wanted to put out there. Yeah. Just keep in mind as a player, so Chris, the MPO/MP40. So this year he in PDGA tournaments, he won 5 MPO tournaments.
That's amazing.
And he won 5 MP40. So he's competing at both.
Yeah.
3rd highest rated MPO in Canada. The guy's a machine, and he's doing all of these other things to help grow disc golf.
Well. Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. I'm sure you loved the episode as much as we did. And if you did, get over to YouTube, subscribe for us, follow us on Facebook, like, comment, subscribe, hit us on Instagram, all the different places. We appreciate it. It helps us grow. It helps us get more subscribers. More subscribers get you more prizes, like our 500 subscriber giveaway, which is quite the prize pack. There's a video coming out soon. And then if you want to help us out anymore, you can go over to Patreon and support us there. Got many different levels free. We also have paid levels, and if you pick one of those, you're entered in free to all of our contests and get other items like our chain out minis that we've got here, our 3D printed minis. So those are things you can check us out. And we want to get off of this episode right away. There's one of those awesome minis. Yeah. Because we are going to jump over to our Patreon episode. So head over there, get the free link to join us. And we're going to talk with Clive and Carrie as guests on the Flight Paths podcast. So we're going to head over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to try to make it work. We'll see how it goes. So we appreciate you for joining us. Daryl, do you want to take this one home?
Do I want to take it home?
Get ready.
Okay.
These are getting better every week.
I don't know. You keep convincing me, but okay, here we go.
Okay.
And you always want me to start as well.
I do.
The pride of Hamilton, fighting for our cause.
A disc golf legend. His name is Oz.
Leading the charge, his time well spent.
ODSA to Candy G, he's our president.
From MP40 to MPO.
He's always winning, first in show.
Teaching and leading is what he's about.
He drains his putts while we just chain out.
Thanks, everybody. I gotta find the button. Here we go.